so-called club cricket happens with players coming from school leavers who comes and sort of join clubs. But if the school leavers, you can bring in anyone from abroad, any batting coach, any bowling coach, any head coach, any consultant, and let them be sort of taking all the dollars we have. People can come home for their mother-in-law's funeral, father-in-law having a cold and a cough. People can do that because they are not.
Avan, I'd like to warmly welcome you to Max Sports. So it's an absolute pleasure having one of the finest batsmen of what can be considered as Sri Lanka's golden generation. So my first question is that since your retirement, the game has changed a lot in a way that if you look at the power plays and all, back in the day it used to be just 15-over power plays, and after that there was nothing. But now of course it has totally changed. We have this term power play, until the very last ball of the innings. And with the fielding restriction and all, do you think a disadvantage to Sri Lanka the way we play the game?
I don't think so, Asha. I mean, see, cricket is a game that has had changes from long ago. For decades, there have been changes. There have been new rules coming into the game, so on and so forth. Cricketing styles have been different from country to country, and I mean, you take you. I mean, if you take all these, what has happened in terms of change of rules and whatnot, as you said, what makes a good cricketer is the adaptability. That is in a batsman. If I am only good on wickets that are flat, or in home conditions, I don't think I should be called a good batsman. Simple as that. Adaptability is the main criteria. Why you call somebody a good cricketer? Why you call somebody an average cricketer?
Correct.
So I don't think we should go in there and be petty about changes and all that. We should be good enough to adapt.
And another thing now with the India series coming up, now back in your days, like Sri Lanka were actually quite dominant. I mean, I remember in my childhood, like Sri Lanka were quite dominant against India, especially in the ODIs. But now, if you look at the situation, like it has completely changed. I mean, India have gone on to become world beaters. So I mean, everyone is pointing the finger at domestic structure. That is something everyone is understanding. I mean, apart from that, what else do you think is the reason for this big difference?
Okay, that's an appropriate question now, Harsha. Those are the type of questions that I think I'm expecting from journalists. See, it's not only India that is strong in world cricket today. Most countries. A country like maybe a team like the West Indies, if you compare them with what they had in the 80s and probably 90s, is a bit different. But all the others, most of the others, I should say, have worked according to a plan, and they have in their own system plenty of cricketers to make up for more than one team. Because their systems, their planning has been so good, and they have gained that. They are in that situation compared to ours. So I think that if you ask me why the reason, yes, the easiest thing is the immediate downstep from test level is the club cricket. You're talking domestic structure. Yes, there is a problem at domestic level, but then so-called domestic cricket, so-called club cricket happens with players coming from school leavers who comes and sort of join clubs. But if the school leavers are not up to standards, not up to the standard that you and me are sort of used to watching or playing with, in my case. What can you expect at the next level, which is the test level or one day international level? You'll still see a downgraded a cricketer from compared to an Englishman or a Indian. So this has to start from school level. This has to start from school level. I'm saying under 13, under 15 levels, people, the cricketers have to have a very good knowledge about the technique. They need to have good coaches to be able to teach them, coach them what this game is all about, the right things, not just about winning. See, winning comes, although cricket is a team game. Winning happens, favorable results come. The 11 members, out of the 11 members, you need to collect individual performances, and then you talk about the team situation. So you need to look at the player development, whether it's a batsman or a bowler. You need to look at the player development, their basic skills, develop those skills, and then look at so-called the domestic structure. Yes, it is not only because there are too many club teams. My idea is you can have as many as you want, as long as you have the quality in representing those clubs.
Oh, good. Okay. So now another thing, now these days we see a lot of young players, they are given an opportunity and they sometimes fail. And most of the time when people fail, like we see in social media, a lot of people drag your name in, right? Because you had a difficult start to your international career. Because you had certain number of ducks, and then you came when you came back strongly and all that. But I want to know, everyone knows this story. But what I want to know is, as a young man, how did you handle the pressure of failure? And then I have heard that once you went back to the domestic cricket, you scored tons of runs. And they are like, from the international failure to be once again successful, what sort of adjustment you made to your batting?
See, Harsha, if you have asked me this question the time that I was scoring my zeros, I probably had no answer. Because if somebody came and asked me, why are you scoring zeros, I would have told him that I don't know how it happens, but it happens.
Yeah.
Now, at the age of 50, looking back, I can only think why this happened and how I managed to sort of motivate myself to be in the game. Forget about scoring runs. Is only because I love the game. Only because I love the game. See, playing for Sri Lanka was my ultimate goal, no doubt about it. But then I still love the game. For me to continue playing, even though after all those zeros that I started with. The second point is that, see, as you said, if now when I scored zeros and then went on to represent Sri Lanka, represented Sri Lanka, made those zeros, and then I went represented the club. There was a huge gap because then a few runs kept on coming. Then I realized that there's a gap. There's a huge step up in the what standard you're talking about. Mainly it is mental. Mainly it is mental. So I was thinking to myself how to handle this. But then, without me knowing, one thing I kept on concentrating was the technique. See, later only I knew, with all the motivators and all these gurus coming into the game, I heard from them, when you are in a difficult situation, forget about cricket, in life, all of us do this. In life, what we do is basics. See, when you're under pressure, what you do is basics. We don't try to do any extravagant things unless we are very confident, very sure. Moment you're pushed to a corner, the thing that comes to your mind is the basics. So, taking back to my first point where I said about starting cricket at a very young level, having the right coaches, your basics comes from there. Your basics come from there. Your basics come from a very young age. Unless you have a very stable basics to whatever skill that you perform on a cricket field, when you're put under pressure, that's what saves you. If you don't have that, you crack. You will get this brilliant 100 or the best 100 that Test cricket has ever seen. Or at the end of the day, the question remains, when you're under pressure, can you perform the same? So for you to perform under pressure, you need to have your basics right. You need to have a very stable foundation for you to stand up in a pressure situation. So that's why we see team like us. It is not just they lose every time. They win a few games here and there. There are a few players who are sort of who will play that fantastic innings, or who will bowl that fantastic spell on and off. But then under pressure, we won't see that. We won't see that. And I'm not a person who is going to blame a player for not scoring or not being consistent, for that matter. At the end of the day, I'm sure these cricketers here are trying their best. And see, they are trying their best. Nobody goes into the middle with pads on, carrying a bat to score 0. Or nobody starts his run up 20 meters away from the bowling crease to get hammered. Nobody does it, intentionally at least, right? So everybody tries their best. But see, if you don't have the skill, if you don't have that stable foundation, it has not been given at a very young age. Under pressure, you crack. That's what basically is happening. So we got to understand that we just can't be sort of jumping up and down just because we win one game every 6 months or whatever, and say, okay, we are going to win from here. It doesn't go. It is not going to happen. Let's be very, very sort of wise about ourselves. It is not going to happen.
Right. So my next question, Marwan. Now, I mean, maybe you have thought about these things as a coach as well. Now, most of the teams, like they used to play in terms of combinations, sometimes maybe 6 batsmen and 5 bowlers, or maybe 7 batsmen and 4 bowlers. In between, maybe somewhere you have an all-rounder. But now you look at like the best teams in the world, for instance, India, England, even Australia, like they bat very deep. That is something maybe Sri Lanka, maybe they don't quite have that luxury. So batting deep now, is that the way forward, especially in the ODI game, ODI and the T20s? Does that give an advantage? And if that's the case, should Sri Lanka be looking to have more sort of, in terms of domestic structure, like should they be focusing on more all-rounders if that's the case?
Harsha, first things first, at a domestic level, you need to have neutral wickets. Right? You need to have good cricketing wickets. What I meant by a neutral wicket is that you need to give equal chances to a bowler as well as a batsman to score runs and get wickets. Okay. The simple example I can give you is, if you're put on a bad wicket, turning wicket, right? Somebody getting five wickets on that wicket, some spinner coming getting 5 wickets on that wicket is it's almost expected. Does not mean that he's going to survive in international cricket playing for Sri Lanka. Okay, when he is put on a good wicket.
Yeah.
Same way, if a batsman gets 100 after hundreds on wickets like concrete in Sri Lanka, if he goes to England on a seaming wicket, he won't score a run, he won't get close to a ball. Does not mean he's a good batsman. Okay, I'll give you with examples. How many cricketers that Sri Lanka has staged in goal who has not gone to make a mark as spinners? Okay, you find yourself, right? That's a stat. Does not mean you're... See, people, even the media does this, right? Media sort of some people back certain individuals saying, okay, he has taken 100 wickets, 150 wickets a season. Why won't he play for Sri Lanka? But you go and see what kind of wickets he bowls on. He bowls on dirty turners. Yeah, he's supposed to get 5 wickets. And the club is only thinking winning. They are not thinking, okay, we have to produce cricketers to represent Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the cricketer won't get anything in terms of monetary value. Just for performing for his club, he needs to come up the ladder to the next stage, which is to represent Sri Lanka, where he gets all the benefits and luxuries and whatnot. So he's digging himself his own grave by encouraging the club to have wickets for his own bowling. And when he comes by chance, if he comes to represent Sri Lanka, if it is not goal, if he's a spinner, he won't last long. So you need to be, as I said earlier also, you need to be versatile. You need to have that basics. And in domestic cricket, you need to have fair wickets to give everybody a chance to go perform. See, 3-day cricket should start from good fast bowling, seaming conditions. That will give a good preparation for top order batsmen. What we see today is that most teams start with spinners. What does that tell you? Isn't there a story that tells you that, okay, we are not encouraging fast bowlers. You're only encouraging winning. So where's the plan? Where's the plan? There is no plan. Everybody is thinking winning. Yes, you need to win. But at the end of the day, the individuals, the players also should understand their future is not playing club cricket. See, cricket takes a hell of a lot of time out of your life. If you don't make the grade to the national team, having spent all that time, it's a waste of time.
Right.
People got to understand that.
Right. So, Maman, I mean, you touched on the technique and the importance of that. But now, I mean, I have a question now. If you look at, I mean, Sri Lankan batsmen, like we had some great cricketers like Aravinda, like yourself, and after that, Sangakkara, Mahela. And if you only consider about the technique and all, like we can even say someone like Thirimanne, technically quite accurate when he bats. So the name that I mentioned for their game, the technique was such an instrumental part. But now we look at there are suggestions that hand-eye coordination is equally important. Now, if you look at someone like Virendra Sehwag, or I think even Dilshan, their technique may not be very very solid, but then again they were able to accumulate runs because of this concept of hand-eye coordination and the way it works. Do you think the way the modern game is played, in terms of accumulating runs, the hand-eye coordination is more important than having a very perfect technique?
Let me be very frank with you and be very straight with you. The technique, the basics I'm talking about is something that you learn at a very young age, so that you have that knowledge within you, right? It comes out when you're not doing well, when you're under pressure, it comes out. But all these greats, coming from, as you named, Aravinda, Sangakkara, Mahela, Dilshan, Jayasuryas, they modified their game as they went along. Not that they don't know the techniques. They'll if you're thinking it's Jeffrey Boycott or a Gavaskar, they are different. Okay, if you think that is the technique, yes, that was the technique at that time. Dilshan playing a Dil scoop doesn't mean that he's not technically correct. He doesn't know technique. He does know. Sehwag is probably one of the best timers of a cricket ball. He knows how to do it. If you are talking only hand-eye coordination, you can get every boy that plays cricket on a street and get him to play for Sri Lanka on an international stage. That won't happen. All I'm saying is it has to be someone who knows his stuff, and then obviously people will modify it. See, as we go along, as you go tour different countries, play on different wickets, play different bowlers, you will have to adjust your sometimes the bat lift, sometimes the stance, sometimes how you play or cut shot, the pull shot, the drive or whatnot, right? But then for you to do that, you need to know where to start from. If you don't know where to start from, you have a problem.
Maman, my last questions. Now you also had the same task, the coach of Sri Lanka team, and I'm pretty sure most of the players who are playing today, like you had a look at them. So one of the people that a lot of people talk these days is Angelo Matthews. When some people say he's considering retirement and all that, like we don't know what's happening there. But I mean, Angelo Matthews is now he's coming to the end of his career. And the way he performed recently, and considering everything in all formats, do you think, to prolong his career, should he be focusing on one format?
Well, I basically think first of all he should stop his bowling. I think he is one batsman who can take the pressure. I'm not saying that he has the greatest technique in the world, but he's got that mental ability to compensate what he has in terms of the technique or basics. He's one of the best finishers when it comes to one-day cricket that I have seen. He's very level-headed, and he reads the game very well, especially when he's batting. I think when somebody hits the early 30s, that's when somebody is performing at the ultimate. So it's a crime if he goes at this stage, but it is the responsibility not only from the cricketer, but it is the responsibility of the authorities to make him understand, give him a bit of support to make him understand that he will have best 3 years. Coming 3 years would be his best 3 years if he is only be utilized for batting. And I don't think he should be limited for one format. I think his career stats will speak for himself. It's a matter of giving up bowling altogether. See, because we don't have that balance, as you said, about 5 batsmen, 6 batsmen, 7 batsmen. Angelo is being pushed to bowl. Yeah, there are days that you can do certain skills, but there are days that you can't. Because you can't perform bowling, it's a crime that you're not in the team for your batting, which is the best in terms of what you can do.
Mavan, you have coached Sri Lanka national team and you have been in this system for some time now. Now looking at the current situation, the coaching staff have come under very heavy criticism. What are your thoughts on that?
Coaches work around what they being given in terms of players. The national coaches, whether it is me, Chandika, it is the one who is now in, or whatever, whoever it is, they only can do what they being given. For example, the best coach in the world, so-called best coach in the world, if he's being given a very weak team like Kenya, he won't make it to the World Cup finals. Same way, the worst coach comes and takes on the best team, He can't sort of obviously the team will go on, reach the finals, become the finals. It is not only because of him. So coach can support in many ways, which is a bit detailed, which takes a bit of time to explain. But it's not only the coach. There are various authorities have to perform various disciplines, right, to make this happen. It is very unfortunate. People are sort of people are only after glory. They want the credit. They search for glory to get credit for themselves, forgetting what they have to perform in terms of responsibilities. So there are two things. So we should sort of keep away all the differences. If you know something that you can do for cricket, you don't have to wait until your chance, or you don't have to wait until you become the next president to come and give whatever advice. At the same time, whoever who is in the committee, I'm surprised to hear some of the committee members from one of the committee members came and said, a well-known cricketer came and said, good that we went to England. That shows that they are number 1 and number 9. We are number 9. I think that's a bit, that's a bit of a weird thing, because if we didn't know, I think we are in a fool's paradise. I think that's at least for people who knows cricket, who have played a bit of cricket. I think that sounded very bad. I think we all should get together and start cricket. It will take 5-10 years, mind you. It will take 5-10 years if we do it right. But then if we do it right, that will stay for another good 10-15 years. So it's the investing time now. Harvest will come later, but you'll have to do the right thing now. For us to be that cricketing nation we all want to be, you'll have to do the right thing at a very young age with kids, so that, because at the end of the day, Archer, you got to accept and you got to sort of agree with me. We don't have competition in the system. Whether somebody scores 0 after 0, or whether somebody goes out, get caught, whether somebody misses catches, these individuals cannot be replaced that easily, because we don't have competition in the system. People can come home for their mother-in-law's funeral, father-in-law having a cold and a cough. People can do that because they are not afraid of their the place in the site, because they know when they walk back, it's there for them. So unless you sort of make that thing happen, you can bring in anyone from abroad, any batting coach, any bowling coach, any head coach, any consultant, and let them be sort of taking all the dollars we have, all the knowledge we have. They all happen to sort of, they also happen, those appointments come with all the connections people have. That is a known thing. And see, we are not gaining anything at the end of the day. We know where we have to improve, but yet we are shy to go there and do, because we are trying to sort of solve this then and there. We don't have a long-term plan. So that's where we got to be true to ourselves, and then work from scratch to be that nation who has a good cricketing team, kind of thing, like in the back in 90s.